Okay, I've decided to make and post this video to really document my issues or my problems with a washer that was leaking oil. Maybe someone else will have a similar problem, and hopefully this might help them to some degree. But what I've got here is a Whirlpool top-load washer. Yeah, the model number is shown there below. It's the WTW number. I purchased the washer in August of 2013. And I've had it for about 18 months now. The washer has performed perfectly since time of purchase, but I was recently changing the floor out in the utility room here, and I had to move the washer, and when I moved it I noticed a small puddle of oil underneath. And I tipped the washer forward, looked underneath, and sure enough there was quite a bit of oil that had coated the drive components. It had been slung up and around on the inside of the cabinet down near the floor, and I knew I had a problem. So what I did is pulled a parts list off of the internet. I basically just Googled Whirlpool and the model number. I came up to a page on Whirlpool's website, and there was a document there among others that gave a parts list for the particular washer. The document was about 7 pages long. It showed all of the pieces and parts of the washer, along with a description of the part. And I went through to see what might be leaking in the washer, and came to the conclusion that it must be the gear case. Below is, or shown here, is a page out of that document which shows that gear case. And just for reference purposes, this is the outer or the stationary tub for the washer. If I pan down here, part number 5 is the actual gear case. And you happen to notice on there, I'll mention a little bit later, but this gear case fits up and attaches to the underneath side of the tub here. It attaches by means of 4 bolts. Number 6 shows 1 bolt. It just merely goes up and threads into an area here on the lower drum, and there's a seal right here. I know you can't see it very well, but it's that dark object, round object there, that fits up and into a cavity right here on the underneath side of that tub. And panning on down here, there's a motor, the drive motor for the washer, the various pieces and parts. Number 13 is the drive pulley. Number 15 is a drive belt. This is a belt-driven washer as opposed to a direct drive washer. Number 20 is the guard that goes over the drive mechanism. Number 1 here is the pump assembly. That's what will drain water out of the tub at the end of the cycle. So I really kind of took a look at this gear case to see if there might be something I could repair, like maybe replacing a seal, topping it up with oil, and completing the repair. But based on what I saw, I couldn't see any other repair other than replacing the entire gear case. So I went online to see if one was available and how much it would be, and there are a number of vendors that have this particular part, and its average price is right around $200. So at that point in time I knew I had a decision to make, and I guess the different options are, number 1 is just run the washer until the gear case fails, and then replace it. But in looking at the amount of oil that had leaked, I really thought that the gear case probably would fail sooner rather than later. The second option would be to call in a repair company and have them replace that gear case for me. But with parts and labor, I would suspect that the repair was going to run maybe $300, $400, and that's getting pretty close to what the cost of a new washer would be. So I took a look and I said, you know, this washer is 18 months old, only 18 months old, and I'm looking now to repair that may either cost as much as a new washer, or again I might have to buy a new washer. And I really thought that a washer of this quality and certainly the price of the washer, it should last longer than 18 months. So I went online, I sent a message off to Whirlpool asking if there might be something that they could do, or how could would they stand behind the washer, in effect. And I did get a call a couple of days later from their service department or customer relations department, and they indicated that since the washer was out of warranty, which it was, there wasn't anything that they could do. Now, I was not expecting a new washer. What I was really kind of hoping maybe they might do is send me a gear case. And by the way, I've just panned over. This is a gear case. It is in fact the old gear case, which leads me to, I guess, option number 3, and that is to replace the gear case myself. Incidentally, on this, the actual Whirlpool issue here. Obviously, if you look at my dryer, it is a Whirlpool. The washer is a Whirlpool, and if I pan over here, my hot water heater is a Whirlpool. And if you go into the kitchen, you'll find a Whirlpool dishwasher. All of these appliances were purchased about 18 months ago when I moved into the home, and I really considered myself to be a loyal Whirlpool customer. But after this situation here with the washer, well, just recently, just in the last couple of weeks, I've had to purchase a new kitchen stove, a new kitchen range, and I certainly didn't look for Whirlpool. I bought another brand. Loyalty is a two-way street, and I just felt like I would go a different direction with the stove. But anyway, after I decided to look into the possibility of replacing this gear case myself, I went on YouTube and searched for any videos that might help or assist in the replacement. And there are 2 excellent videos, 2 different entities that have produced videos. One is from Sears Parts Direct, and the other from Repair Clinic. And you can easily search and find those videos. Those are excellent videos. And quite frankly, I would not have been able to make the repair if those videos were not available. So I really want to thank those companies. And as a result of that, I in fact bought the gear case from one of those companies. Obviously, I only needed one gear case, so I picked the best price and availability. Ordered the gear case, and in about a week to 10 days, it arrived on my front doorstep. So I won't, go into any great detail on the replacement. The videos do it much better than I could describe it, or even if I tried to video the process myself. I guess before I forget about it, on there is my gear case was leaking, and that's what started the whole process. But it's quite possible that your machine might be excessively noisy, or maybe it's just not working at all. There could be several reasons for this, but certainly this gear case could be one cause of that problem. So I guess just mentioning a couple of other things with the replacement, things that may not be included in the videos. One of the things was that the videos indicated, or one of the videos indicated, that the repair could be done in about an hour. Not on my best day could I have done it in an hour. I worked on it most of one day. Now, I was interrupted several times with phone calls and various things, and I had a lot of little issues that came up, but plan on longer than 1 hour. As far as mechanical ability to do this job, you certainly don't need to be a service technician. I'm not, just an average homeowner, but you do have to have some mechanical ability, and I would suspect that if you could change the oil in your car, you could certainly make this change out. A couple of hints, ideas. Again, watch those videos, and in addition to those 2 videos, I believe it's Repair Clinic also has some short videos on replacement of some of the other components that are associated with this gearbox, and those would probably be helpful for you to view as well. I made a written list of the different steps associated with the replacement of this gear case, which I think was helpful. I took photos as I did the disassembly which certainly helped me on the reassembly. You really only use ordinary tools, screwdriver, a pair of pliers, socket set with both standard and metric sockets, just really standard tools, nothing special. The video goes through the different steps and just a couple of other things that I wanted to mention. You know, the obvious things as far as unplugging the washer, turning off the water. And when you turn off the water, you'll need to disconnect the hot and cold lines here. Disconnect them from the back of the machine, and I know you can't see that where I'm trying to put my hand, but that's hopefully fairly obvious. You disconnect that. One dumb thing that I did, and you might as well learn from me, is that I took this drain line, that's the black line right here, I taped it to the back of the machine just to get it out of my way. Well, when I moved the machine, moved the washer, that drain line right here came loose, flopped down onto the floor, and I don't know, leaked out a quart of water or something like that. So I ended up having to mop that up during the repair. So when you fool around with this drain and try to figure out what to do with it, drain it down, take it down to the floor and drain it into a real shallow pan right on the floor, with the thought that you want to get this hose as low as possible and drain out as much water as you possibly can. Apparently there's quite a bit of water that stays in the washer after the last spin cycle. As part of the repair, you'll remove the inner tub of the washer, and you'll have to pull that out. The video does a nice job on detailing that, and again, that inner tub is the perforated tub right there. What you will do is you'll end up tipping the washer forward, laying it down on the floor. You'll need to put some type of a rug or blanket down there to keep from damaging the washer or the floor. And you'll tip you'll tip that washer forward, and then you'll get behind the washer and you'll be looking directly underneath of the washer. Moving over to the gear case again. This is how it sets basically in the machine. Obviously it sets underneath. The output shafts here come up and into the drum, and as I pan back over here, the agitator is right down there at the bottom. I've got one of those short agitators. This is a high efficiency machine. The silver shaft right here, that turns the agitator. The black shaft right here turns the inner tub. And as I move down here, this is of particular note. This is a seal, and I mentioned a little bit earlier when I showed it on the exploded diagram. This fits up and into the bottom of the outer tub, and this seals the water from leaking out of that tub. You know, I was really concerned that I might change this gear case and solve my oil leak problem, but if this didn't get sealed back properly, then I would have a water leak. When you remove this gear case from the machine, pull it out, this seal stays in its housing or cavity in that outer drum, outer tub. And you'll need to pull this out, and then you'll clean that housing, and very carefully, don't scratch or nick that housing, because that will give you a water leak. I was concerned about if the old seal was going to be damaged in any way, but when I got my new gear case, it came with a new seal, so that pretty well solved that problem. Now, in putting this back in, if you look really close here, it looks like the factory put some type of material, some type of sealant. I don't know if it's a silicone, but anyway, they put that onto this seal. I didn't have any instructions for how to replace this. What I did do is I coated the outside of this seal with a plumber's grease. It's a silicone material, and I thought this might help reduce the possibility of a leak. And also, when I put this back up into the machine, it would help lubricate that, and perhaps it wouldn't chafe or get twisted or somehow damaged, and that seemed to have really worked well. Turning this gear case over, let's see if I can do this one-handed. When you get behind and underneath the machine, you'll be looking directly at this gear case. Now there will be some other components. The electric drive motor fits right here. They call it a splutch, sits right here. There's a pulley that sits right on top of here on this threaded post. There's a capacitor that sits right here, and there's also a shift actuator that sits right here. Now, before I remove this gear case from the machine, I actually took the motor off first. It's pretty heavy, so that really lightened the load of this gear case. So you might want to consider doing something like that as well. What you'll need to do is remove all the components from this old gear case and put it onto the new gear case, and that was really pretty straightforward. The only two issues I had were, one, this capacitor, which fits right up into here. The videos indicate that there is a screw retainer that holds that on. Well, there wasn't that on this particular unit. What I finally saw is molded into the capacitor on the end. It said to remove, lift up, and twist, and that's basically what I did. I just was able to kind of grab that capacitor right back here, just lift it up like a 1/16 of an inch, twist it, and then it comes out from this square opening here. The other issue I had was removing this pulley. It's fitted onto this threaded post and held in place with a nut, and when you put a wrench on that nut to try to turn it, the whole shaft turns. And so what I ended up doing is I've got a workmate, and I put that shaft back here, this output shaft, I put that into the jaws of that workmate, tighten it down tight, and those are wooden jaws, by the way. That held the shaft while I took that nut off of that post. So that's something you're going to need to try to consider as you make the disassembly on there, is how you're going to hold on to that. Don't put a pipe wrench on there. You'll possibly mar that surface, and you wouldn't want to do that. Putting that pulley back, again, you really need to tighten that down tightly. As you can maybe see on there, there's a little blue material which is a Loctite on that shaft. So I put Loctite back onto the new unit, and you can torque this this nut down pretty good. I didn't have any specs for that. I'm sure there's some place, but I don't have them. The pulley is a nylon or a plastic material, but it does have a metal insert in the center. I don't know if it's steel, but it probably is. So you can, based on your your experience and judgment, you can torque that down pretty good. Incidentally, if you look in here, my leak, I think, came from that seal right there. It's probably a 50-cent seal and ended up costing me $200. The last thing on the reassembly of this unit, you'll fasten it to the underneath side of the drum with 4 bolts. They go right here, here, and on the flange down here and here. When you put this unit back in place underneath the drum, you want to have it nice and flush and level. And when you tighten these bolts down, I actually used a crisscross. I went from like here to here to here to here, and just slowly tighten that up. Again, I didn't want to get it out of balance or twisted on there. The other thing is when you tighten these up, they need to be secure, but they're threaded into plastic threads, and you certainly don't want to pull those threads out. So again, you kind of have to use your judgment on that. I believe that was really about it on the assembly. There is a wiring harness that you have to take off, but easily done, easily put back. The last thing I did, when I had the tub out of the washer, this inner tub, down below here, down to the right back, there's a sump or a depressed area where the water drains out, and there's also a filter for that pump, drain pump. Mine was particularly dirty, so that gave me an opportunity when I had this out to clean that all up. Now, upon reassembly, you do have to calibrate it. The videos mention that really well. My machine has been back in place now for about a month. I've washed probably a dozen loads. It works great. So listen, thanks for watching. I hope this helps.